Everyone, I'm Mark Latta. I am a parent of a daughter who attends Theodore Potter School 74, which is an IPS magnet school, Spanish immersion school. I live in the Near East Side with my wife and daughter, and Theodore Potter is also on the Near East Side. I wanted to make this video because there's a lot of legislation rumors going around about legislation that will dismantle and defund IPS, and all of those are true, but that's not why I wanted to make this recording. I wanted to make this recording because there's some recent staffing changes that IPS, in my opinion, has kind of secretly and silently tried to implement, and parents were not informed. And I've made a post on Facebook that was starting to get some attention, calling out these changes. And in my opinion, this is a betrayal by the district, particularly for the commitments they have made to rebuilding stronger. And so I wanted to make this video because parents are starting to find out what's going on, and people are feeling a lot of conflict because they want to support IPS, yet they feel as if IPS is not being transparent, I guess is the polite way to say that. So that's the purpose of this video. I've tried to include captions to make it completely accessible. My normal screen capturing video software wasn't working, so I'm going to use Zoom, which is why it looks like Zoom. But anyway, I'll be as quick as possible. But here's what I want to do. I want to do three things in this video. Thing one is to explain what we discovered about the staffing changes, how we got here. The second thing is to explain why I think this is a problem, and the way that the district is handling it is not reassuring at all. I think this is a huge issue for some schools, not all schools, and I'll explain what I mean by that in just a second. So that's the second thing I want to do, explain what's happening and why it feels like a betrayal. And then the third thing is just to kind of offer some tips on what we can do to prevent these changes from happening. So the short to get to the context, what is happening, and then I'm going to back up again and kind of explain how we got here. IPS is making changes to their specials, the special teachers. Now, if you're familiar with IPS and if you use this terminology in your school system, great. But specials refer to the music, art, gym, and computer science courses, and the teachers who teach them. Those are collectively known as the specials. Currently at Theodore Potter, we have a full-time teacher for each of those areas. And as we'll soon discover, I'll talk about those teachers do far more than just teach those specific classes. Under Rebuilding Stronger, every school in IPS was supposed to have access to opportunity, equal access to opportunities that before Rebuilding Stronger, not all schools had. Before Rebuilding Stronger, Theodore Potter did not have computer science. We did not have futsal. We did not have strings club, keyboard club that were open to fourth graders. We did not have the new archery club, chess club. All of these new opportunities came online last year because of Rebuilding Stronger, and this is true for a number of schools. So one of the things, this is going back to how we discovered what's actually going on. The way that we discovered that these changes to specials are taking place is that my wife was helping with a fundraiser through one of the specials teacher at Potter. I don't know how many of you know this, but there's a good chance that some of your specials teachers are probably working more than what they're required and not being compensated by the district, but they're willing to do that out of the commitment they have for their school community, right? And one of the things that we, because we work closely with our school, we're involved with our school, we like our school. We want it to survive and thrive, and we are willing to support it and go fight for it. I'm someone who fights for public education and public accountability of education. So this is a fight I'm willing to have. We support our school. So what we were going to do, what my wife was working on, is a fundraiser so that those teachers who are staying after for the different extracurricular activities could be compensated, not by the district, but by the money that we would raise privately. Very common thing for PTO organizations to do, right? Um, so we were having a fundraiser. We were going to sell shirts and sweatshirts that would raise money, that would provide some compensation for these teachers who are working 40 plus hours and they're not being compensated by the district. We were told by our acting principal that this fundraiser had to stop because it was not approved. And this was a kind of a shock to us. Like, well, what do you mean? We've had fundraisers before. We've done all these things. Why is this time any different? The day after we were told we had to stop, we found out why this time was different. We found out from our specials teachers at Theodore Potter that one of the teachers was being displaced. Displaced is a term that the district IPS uses to indicate that you're not being fired, you just don't have a job at that school, and you have a certain amount of time to find a new job inside the district, or one would be assigned for you. What that meant for Potter and what that means for other schools is that one of our specials teachers who has been there for a number of years, has done an amazing job, will no longer be employed full time or even part time at our school. She'll be removed from the school. We also found out that the other remaining specials teachers, so we have four specials teachers, so one was being displaced, the other three are switching from full time to part time. The other part time would be um, at a different school. They would spend their day at two different locations. Um, and this is important because of the district's response. I'm going to share that in just a second. If you haven't seen this response, this is probably the response that you'll get. And the only reason we got this response is because as parents of children at Theodore Potter, we started contacting the school and contacting the district and saying, what is going on? Why are these special teachers moving from full-time to part-time and being removed? This is not what we were told would happen under Rebuilding Stronger. And then as we talked to more parents, we found out this move was happening at other schools, not equally across the district. Okay. So that's the first problem I have and why I feel like this is a betrayal by IPS. They promised us equitable, equal access to opportunities, regardless of where you go to school in IPS. Regardless of which IPS school you go to, you will have these opportunities. That's what they promised us. That's not what's happening. Here's the response that the district is sending, and I'm just going to share my screen. So this feels like a Zoom meeting, and I apologize. You should see this letter, and this letter is from uh, George Julian Center of Inquiry, but it doesn't matter where it's from because this is verbatim, word for word, what a district representative sent me and other parents at Theodore Potter. This is word for word, exact copy of what the acting principal at Theodore Potter later sent me that same day. This is word for word the same response. So there is one response going out from the district. Let's take a look at this response, shall we? So it starts with, oh, I hope you're doing well. I'm writing to share an important update from the district regarding the related arts courses for 2025, 2026. They say arts, but this really involves all specials, which includes gym, computer science, art, and music, right? Those are the four specials. So they start by saying, I'm writing to share an important update. While we understand the shift in shared related arts may seem like a change, we want to reassure you that there will be no changes to the related arts courses they receive or the amount of instructional time per week. Then they go on to say no change to student schedules, possible change in teacher assignment, job security for teachers. No teachers will, any teacher displaced from a specific school due to this change will still have a position within district if they choose to stay. Then they end with continued extracurricular opportunities. So they're saying that all of this, like that first they're saying, we know this seems like a change, but it's actually not a change, which is a really interesting way to describe losing a full-time teacher and then losing three other full-time teachers to part-time teachers. That seems like a change to me, and it seems like maybe we could call it a change. But here they're saying there are no changes, right? So what are there no changes to? There are no changes to student schedules, teacher assignment, or a possible change in teacher assignments, but no teachers will be laid off, job security for teachers, and then continued extracurricular opportunities. So this is what they're sending out to parents. And in response, parents are like, oh, okay, well, maybe this is not a bad thing. Maybe I'm just mishearing something. Why would they say, number one, why would they say that this is not actually a change when it's a change? Number two, why is this being sent in response? Why not send this out ahead of time? This change occurred the same day that Superintendent Dr. Johnson was testifying against Senate Bill 518 at the State House. I know that because I was there to testify against it as well. She was talking about the success of rebuilding stronger and how all the students now have access to computer science, gym, music, and art for the first time ever, and expanded extracurricular opportunities. So that's kind of where we are. Now, this is the district's response, right? It doesn't address the fact that we asked, hey, why are we losing staff next year? How will this impact? We're concerned, like you can't say that there's going to be no impact. There's got to be impact. Otherwise, you wouldn't make these changes, right? Now, let me share um, what the specials schedule looks like at Theodore Potter. I'm going to change the screen and you should now see this Excel file. Here's the master schedule for the 4 special teachers at Theodore Potter. Notice that from prior to student arrival all the way to after student dismissal, each of these 4 full-time positions are fully accounted for every minute of every day. There are no extra things to move around here, right? And it's not just classroom instruction, it's lunch supervision. It's helping kids get breakfast, unpack. It's helping kids pack up and move throughout the day. The other thing I'll point out about this is that what is not included on this schedule are the different after school activities and clubs that all of these special teachers supervise. Clubs like strings, like keyboards, like archery club, like running club, futsal. For the first time, we have a futsal league. That's all beyond what is currently scheduled for these special teachers. And some of it is not being compensated by the district, which is how we discovered this change was happening because we wanted to fundraise to pay teachers for what they're doing. Why? Because we support them and we appreciate it. They're doing an awesome job. How, let me ask you, how will you do away? So this is the schedule for 4 people. How will you maintain this same level of opportunity by removing one person and then making the other 3 go from full-time to part-time? How do you do that? Make the math work because someone's going to have to drive between one place to the other. Where's the prep time? While they're driving, you think a part-time teacher is going to be willing to kind of sponsor a club, lead a club, make sure the club happens, work with parents? Part of the reason that Rebuilding Stronger could work if the district supported it is that it provides stability to create access to opportunities. Now the district is silently trying to go behind parents' backs, and they're simply saying, we'll just make these changes, but don't worry, they're not really changes. Don't worry, there'll be no impact. Anybody who's managed people and managed schedules will know if you remove staff, if you remove the hours available, not only is that demoralizing, it destroys a culture. You're treating people like widgets. You can just simply put in and put out of a place. That's not what teachers do. It's not how you that's not how you build school culture. So this maneuver, number one, is a lie. It betrays the promise that they made to parents from Rebuilding Stronger. They were trying to do this in a way that parents wouldn't find out, and they were doing this at the same time they were asking parents to show up and demand that state legislators support public education. While Dr. Johnson was testifying against what the Senate Bill 518 would do, the changes that it would force IPS to do, she was also authorizing these changes to take place at a small number of IPS schools. So, where is the equality and opportunity? That's why I think it's ridiculous. That's why I think it's a betrayal. That's why I'm so upset. If you want me to defend and support your school district, I'm happy to do that. But you have to tell me the truth. You have to be transparent. You can't lie to me. And when I call you out on that, to send me some type of paternal, paternalizing response like, oh, well, this seems like a change, but it's not really a change. It's a change. If it wasn't a change, these special teachers would not be worried about their livelihoods. They would not be told they would be moving to different locations. They would not be told anything. They would just be allowed to continue as they were continuing. That's what a change is. Something changes. So to tell me that it's not a change, this video's gone on too long. What can you do? Contact your school, contact the superintendent, contact the school board, contact your friends, tell them to make good on their commitments that they promised us through Rebuilding Stronger. If the state comes in and mandates these changes, that's one thing. That's not what happened here. These are changes that the district mandated. They tried to push them through silently, and they hoped we wouldn't find out. Guess what? We found out, and now I'm mad.